Yeah, absolutely. So it was never meant to be a business. It started out as like a competition between me and my brother, and I like spicy food, definitely much hotter than the average person. You know, I have 20 different hot sauces that are commercial that I sell. And they are, leaps and bounds over Tabasco or, a normal hot sauce. They're made with all super hot peppers, of Reaper level or hotter. Um, and so I love cooking with hot peppers. But not crazy like the people that I sell to where they'll eat, you know, 5 to 50 in a row. Um, and it's wild to watch. We were actually hosting so like the League of Fire is the organization that handles all the Guinness Book of World Records like runs, and is like it's an international organization that all the super hot challenges go through, and all the major pepper competitions are, um, you know, run through basically. And I'm working with them, but it that was a kind of a weird thing how it all happened, and just kind of being in the right place at the right time. But it was me and my brother were just having a friendly competition to see who could grow the hottest pepper, and I started. So my brother has no social media of any kind, and obviously I do have a lot of social media, and there's tons of Facebook groups for these super hot peppers. So I started spending a lot of time in them and collecting peppers and seeds from all over the world, and just found that there's actually quite a market and a high demand for it. Um, and I overdid it one year. Just ended up growing like 500 plants. Went from 10, 20 plants one year to like 500 the next year, um, just because I was having fun with it. And it was, a hobby that I got way too carried away with, basically. Um, and so I had all these peppers and I didn't know what to do with them. And so I started selling them in the Facebook groups, and I got the attention. I had some really, really hot peppers that I kind of lucked into, and it got the attention of some League of Fire people as well as this major YouTube content producer named Johnny Scoville, and he featured some of my stuff, and then I started working with him and did a like a pepper challenge, and then all of a sudden I was flooded, and this was last year, so I haven't been in this business very long, but it is majorly taken off in a very rapid pace that's been hard to keep up with. But he created the demand where I didn't have enough supply to meet the demand. And so this year, I've done all these things to majorly up the amount, and we're looking at 400 something varieties of peppers and like 3 to 4 thousand plants. But yeah, that's kind of how it happened. It was just right place, right time. The peppers got put in front of the right people. Um, I largely owe that to this guy named Jeff Remmert, who has two of the hottest peppers in the world, the Deadpool and the Remmert pepper. Um, and he just saw me posting, and I had peppers before anybody else did last year, because I had a greenhouse project I'd been working on, and it was more just to provide food. I think our food supply is very toxic these days, so I prefer to only eat stuff that I'm growing, or um, beef and meat that I'm producing that's come from my property, because I know exactly what chemicals it's been interacting with, and I think that's the only healthy way to do it. But because I was already doing that, I had the infrastructure in place to get peppers out really early, which meant that I had the only supply at a time where everybody was demanding it, so it got in front of all the right people. And so last year we did a League of Fire belt match, which they only have, like 10 of them in the United States. And then the winners of these belt matches go on to compete for the United States title. And then whoever wins the United States title then goes on to compete for the world title. And they have, one for each continent. And so we were lucky enough to be able to host one of these matches in Winsboro, Texas. It was the Dallas match, but we had it in our small town in Winsboro, Texas, at a kind of festival that we have every year that's called Autumn Trails. I'm on the board for that, so that helped me be able to get the pepper place or the pepper contest put into place. Was another thing, right time, right place, and it ended up being really cool. The whole town, was very receptive to it after they watched it, and the amount of people attending this year is going to be probably triple what it was last year, in terms of competitors and crowd, vendors, everything. And so it's really taken off, and could have never seen it going this way, but it's I was looking for, I've been testing all kinds of different revenue streams, besides the dogs, because I didn't want to be solely dependent on the dogs. Because I learned quickly, after when this kind of bubble hit, a year and a half, 2 years ago, you can't have all your eggs in one basket. You've got to diversify and have, different business ventures, especially if you don't have a job and, your businesses are your full time, job. So, the weather recently has been really rough. The last 3 weeks, we had nothing but rain with a major windstorm or hailstorm, um, every 3 or 4 days. So all the flowers on my plants, just getting torn up, torn off. So not producing peppers. So I'm late. I'm late this year. But next year I'm putting in an underground greenhouse, called a wallopini, um, to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And then also Texas is hot when we have 110-degree heat. Last year, like, the plants got scorched. And I think it was the month of August, I didn't have a very high production, compared to every other month. So that was a struggle. But last year I put in a big, high tunnel greenhouse, which allowed me to extend my season. I went all the way to January 12th. And most pepper producers are done, first couple weeks in October if they're lucky. But you have almost no production in November, December, January, or February. And then, March, people start trickling in again. So one thing I'm trying to do next year is to make sure that I'm producing year round, because there is no other operation that is producing these super hot kind of artesian peppers that could go for, um, you know, the world's hottest pepper title, that are producing them year round. So during those winter months, there is no supply and all the demand in the world. You name your price, there's somebody who's going to pay for it, because there's nowhere else you can get them. During the summer months and fall months, you're competing with South American and, these Mexican farms that, you can't beat them. They can they have the infrastructure, they have the amount of workers to, really run a massive operation. So to compete with them, you need to be able to produce when they are not able to produce. So that's, kind of going forward, um, the main aspect of the business model that, um, I'm trying to adhere to. Um, so I'm in a lot of different farmers markets. I sell locally. I try to have a local following. Part of the that pepper eating contest, that's not something that brings in revenue. That's a nonprofit kind of deal, with a 501(c)(3). So it's not necessarily to make profit. It's that is to bring my name to national media attention, so that new people that are getting added to the community are aware that I exist, and that I have these great peppers that they need. Um, One other thing that happened this last year was Hulu did a TV show called Super Hot, and it features the League of Fire. A couple of the people that came to the pepper eating competition last year are in this TV show. Actually, the narrator came in third place at the um, belt match last year. So, making sure that they are constantly having um, your peppers and products in front of them, and that they're also, so not just on your own social media, but that they're also promoting you on their social medias, because they have a different following than you do. So you need to reach as many people as you possibly can to meet that market demand. Um, well, so I have tried numerous different ways of making that easier, using programs, trying to get some of my like e-commerce stuff automated, um, customer service, all of that. What I have found is that um, shipping was the biggest thing. Getting the shipping automated made a major difference in the amount of time that I was putting into it. And so like when I pick like one day a week, and we'll pick a couple thousand peppers. I've got a couple employees, family and friends that help do that. We'll pick a few thousand peppers, and then that night we have to stay up all night labeling them. Um, and then they get shipped out that next day to make sure that they're fresh, because they're going all over the country and we're shipping by regular mail. So to make sure that the peppers aren't rotten and are still very fresh, we put in, it's a 24-hour deal once a week, to make sure that we can do that. um, and so that's, there's nothing that just beats boots on the ground and just putting in real hard work. It's there's not a great way to fast track it or make it easier, but not spending time um, worrying about the shipping or messing up boxes because you're tired and you've been up all night labeling, making sure that you're not messing up addresses, stuff like that. I had a bunch of issues with that the first probably 6 months that I was selling. And then I went to a program that integrated with my website. And then I used to take orders through social media, and I'm checking, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and I've got multiple accounts on all of these platforms. So I'm checking three or four different accounts. So like I was taking orders in 15 different places and having to go back and check them, cross check them, and get addresses. And that was a logistical nightmare. So when I started, and I lost business by not, accepting PayPal, and because that's what the industry is mostly based on, is like PayPal and Venmo payments. Um, I had definitely lost customers and I definitely lost money, but that's okay because there's still enough demand that even with the lost customers, by switching to a website and forcing people to use a credit card and paying credit card fees as well, um, you know, I can continue to operate at a much higher volume than what I was doing then, and make sure that the quality is there every time and I'm not having shipping and labeling problems. So that has probably been the number one, um, the number one thing. As far as customer service, I've tried to outsource that a couple times, and that's gone drastically bad every time. Um, and it's definitely, there's nothing that beats you actually talking to your customer, and if your customer has a problem, with you actually dealing with it directly. Mm, I mean, the infrastructure upgrades are always really tough, but you're always, it may hurt like right when you make that upgrade, but you know that it's going to save you thousands of dollars later on, or it's going to make you thousands of dollars more later on. But when you make those initial infrastructure upgrades, I mean, it hurts, and you're budgeting to, I mean, you have to live like no one else is willing to live, so you can live like no one else can live. One thing I'll say is like Instagram and social media make things look very happy and easy, and you only portray the good side, you don't portray the bad side. So you have a lot of haters and people that really don't understand the amount of effort and work, and the fact that you really are earning it, and this applies to anybody in any industry. um, you know if you're good at what you do and you made a lot of money, there are very rare circumstances where you just um, that you didn't have to put ton of hard work and time into, because that's just not how it works now. Social media and stuff like that may portray it that way, but that's not the case. To run a business and run it successfully, it's an almost 24-hour job to do two businesses at one time. I mean, it's 20 hours a day and 4 hours of sleep, wake up, do the same thing, and it's 7 days a week, 365 days a year. There are no holidays. You don't necessarily have time to go to funerals and weddings, especially with dogs in the dog industry. That's a major thing because, the dogs never stop eating. But during pepper season, especially when we have hot days like right now, we're watering twice a day. That's 2 hours twice a day. So 4 hours a day, you have to be there watering. And if you miss one of those waterings, you may lose 1,000 plants, which equates to $5,000 or $6,000, probably more, probably $10,000. So, you can't miss one watering. And then from your personal life standpoint, like I mentioned, funerals and weddings, but just your personal relationships with your friends and family. I mean, they're going to take a hit, especially the first few years starting a new business, because you're not going to have time for it. You have to put all your time and energy into your business. My family is very supportive of what I'm doing. Like I said, my brother was in the industry with me. My family works with me. They're out here, when they'll come on off days when they're not working or they're not running their own businesses. They'll come and help me run mine, and vice versa. So having a support network's super important. My partner is also, out here all the time working on her days off. She comes out, she helps pick peppers, run dogs, train dogs, everything, and she's just as dedicated and committed to it as I am. So finding someone like that in your life that's willing to make the same sacrifices that you are is super important. Because if they're not, you're gonna have fights. And it takes a toll. Like you're definitely sacrificing all aspects of your personal life when you decide to run a business. If you're going to do it successfully, it's really hard work, and starting it's the hardest part. Man, hiring employees is probably that's one of the biggest struggles, that I'm constantly dealing with. And burning out employees because they start out super energetic and enthusiastic, because on the outside looking in, it looks pretty and it looks glamorous. But when you're when you're picking up, hundreds of pounds of dog poop a day, and or working out in 110-degree heat, getting hot pepper oil capsaicin in all your pores, and it's burning you alive while you're still getting burned by the sun. It's a lot less glamorous at that point in time than what you thought it was going to be when you first set out. And so, like, if you don't have that passion that I do, it burns you out. You wear out pretty quick. So there's a high turnaround rate in terms of employees. Not everybody's willing to maintain the quality that you want for your company. So you have to, you have to fire them and move on and look for better objects or better people to fit the needs of your company. There's also kind of the aspect of when you train somebody really well and they are really passionate about it, um, you're almost training your replacement too, because then these people are going to want to jump into your industry and they're going to be your competition. That happens a lot with dog training, and I'm learning it's happening in the pepper business too. I teach these people learn stuff that I mean, like, I never had a mentor, but basically I'm their mentor as their employer, and I'm teaching them everything that I struggled to learn over a 5-6 year period, and I'm condensing it into a 4-month crash course. And then I'm giving them the tools to go out and compete with me. So there's a funny, tricky aspect there. I make everybody sign non-competes, if they're in a certain radius, and non-disclosure agreements as well, to kind of protect myself. But at the end of the day, you know they try, and some people make it, some people succeed, but the majority of people, there's a lot of things as an employer I don't share with my employees, like the level of stress I'm dealing with on a daily basis. And it goes kind of back to that. It looks glamorous from the outside looking in, but it's not as easy or as glamorous in reality. And then watching some of the people that I've taught how to do everything try to go open their own businesses and then fail, kind of because they didn't have the infrastructure or the financial backing or the passion or uh, the motivation, any of these things. But that's definitely, it's kind of a tricky subject, and it's definitely hard. I haven't found anyone yet that I think that like is going to be with the company long term, other than my family. That I expect them to still be working for me 20 years from now. I mean, to me, that's a no brainer every day of the week. You're getting out of a rat race. You're investing in yourself. You're no longer making money to line somebody else's pockets or to better somebody else's business. um, every Everything you're doing is investing in yourself, investing in your financial future, your wellness, your health. Um, I mean, with the farm, that's a major thing. That's a driving force in doing all of this, is because, like I said, I think the quality of food has really gone down. I think we use way too many chemicals in our food supply, and also think the government's trying pretty hard to cut out, small farms and ranches, and replace it, with big ag, big pharmaceutical, all these things. And I don't want to participate in that. I want to, know where my food came from. I want to grow it myself, and I think that's a major driving force. And why I keep doing what I'm doing and why I wake up every morning and work so hard, is because that's super important to me. Um, I also, I don't like working under someone else. I I like to set my own schedule. I like to work at my own pace. That may always be a very fast pace, but um, I don't like being dependent on somebody else. I don't want to have somebody else tell me what to do. Um, I want to wake up when I want to wake up, or at least know that I'm working for my future and my family's future. And that's another thing. You know, having kids and raising them to have the same passion that I do for dogs and farming and agriculture. Um, and hoping one day that I can pass off these businesses to them, and they can pass it off to their kids. Um, I think it's going to continue to grow. Um, and I think so at some point, once I can corner the market on being a winter producer, or a four seasons producer, um, I think a lot of the next step is um, kind of a two aspect approach. Like I said, I've got probably 20 commercial hot sauces right now. Um, I would like to be producing more hot sauces, and spending more of my time marketing the hot sauces. Um, so uh, it probably cost me about $6 to make a bottle of hot sauce that I'm doing, like on one of the super hots. That's only using super hot peppers and not a chemical lab produced extract. Um, and I have to put a lot of peppers into it, but I get to charge $15 a bottle. So if I manufacture and upscaled, like, I rent a commercial kitchen right now. If I could go to where I own my own commercial kitchen and have a manufacturing facility, and I'm producing, hundreds of bottles that are, um, sold everywhere on a large scale, that would be incredible. To be able to upscale right now, I'm just a small batch artesian kind of producer, and it would be very cool to get in, go farther into that. I'd also like to be doing some of these League of Fire challenges. These different pepper kitchens produce the hottest thing that they can possibly produce, and then you make a challenge out of it, and these League of Fire people compete to be the best in the world. And then, I'm sure you're familiar with Carolina Reapers. They were developed by Ed Curry, and right now he is come out with the Pepper X. No one can get their hands on it. He holds the seeds. It's like a top secret industry. And there are a lot of people that say it's not that hot of a pepper. And his hot sauces are not that hot. Um, but it would be cool to make a run at the world's hottest pepper. I've got some definite um, competitors that are in the game, and so I'm working to crossbreed my peppers. Like, so saying it goes back to my science background in genetics. We're crossbreeding these super hot peppers. Like, I'm using this one that's called a chocolate primatali. That's just, I mean, it's wicked hot. I've got a lot of people that have compared it to every other pepper and hot pepper that they can get their hands on, and they're telling me it's the hottest in the world. I think there's definite aspects like the Texas 110-degree heat. I think that plays into it. It makes these peppers hotter. When you skip a day of watering, if they don't die, you may lose your plant. But if they don't die, those peppers that you pick the next day, man, they're just hotter. They are. And so I don't know. It'd be pretty cool to take a run at being the producer and the grower of the world's hottest pepper, and controlling the genetics. You don't give seeds to anybody, or you only give seeds to your partners, the people you're working with. And I think that would be awesome. So I'm actively in the process of making a run on that now, but it's just like the dogs. It takes years. Um, Kind of, so every genetic cross you do, it takes 7 generations to stabilize a pepper plant. So for most people, that's 7 years. If I'm 4 season growing though, I can speed up that process to 3, 4 years. So in the next 5 years, if I once I've got the Wallapini and I've got my seed start buildings and a very scientifically stable temperature, climate controlled environment, um, then I can really crank out some generations and get it to an F7 generation on these pepper plants and have it as a stable reproducible thing, which is what I was telling you about the dogs. Same, it's a very similar business, but I'd like to take a run on that.